Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Rafael Palmeiro. All these men had record-breaking, award-winning, Hall of Fame-worthy careers in Major League Baseball. But all of them have something else in common. All these men have been linked to steroids, human growth hormone, or other performance-enhancing drugs, and they're not the only ones. Anabolic steroids, like it or not, have a long history in sports and have changed the expectations of pro athletes beyond the natural limits. Making them illegal has only driven the interest and increased the number of users, leading to a black market littered with harmful, impure substances. It is important to discuss the information and give the education regarding source legitimacy, supply, and proper use to better inform those who will use these anabolic agents despite the legalities against them. While only becoming prominent in the last 30 years, the history of anabolic steroids can be traced back to the 1930s as only a synthetic form of testosterone, designed as a means to aid men who did not produce enough testosterone for adequate development and sexual function. It wasn't until the Soviet Olympic athletes began using this form of testosterone and performing at an exceptionally high level at the 1956 Olympics that the world took notice. One individual who took particular notice was Dr. John Ziegler. He created a more selective and available form of testosterone, dianabol, a decision he claimed to later regret, and the world of sports would never be the same. It wasn't until 1975 that the International Olympic Committee banned the use of anabolic steroids. However, the sale, possession, and use of anabolics would be legal in the United States for the succeeding 15 years. Then the United States Congress passed the Anabolic Steroid Enforcement Act of 1990, which officially made anabolic steroids a controlled substance. Former President George Bush even went as far as to say during his State of the Union address in 2004, the use of performance-enhancing drugs like steroids in baseball and football and other sports is dangerous and sends the wrong message, that there are shortcuts to accomplishment and that performance is more important than character. The fact is that most of the health risks the government credits to steroid use are more anecdotal. Few studies up to that point in 2004 had been done on the short-term side effects, let alone the long-term side effects. It is proven that the initial minor side effects include acne, decreased libido, changes in mood, and in some cases gynecomastia, which can be completely eliminated by the use of selective estrogen receptor modulators under the care of an attending physician. More serious side effects such as cardiac hypertrophy, leading to a risk of heart disease and heart failure, decreased liver function and failure, and testicular atrophy. Other than cardiac hypertrophy, all these more serious side effects at the minimum can be reduced, if not completely cured, with proper post-cycle therapy. In 2014, a team of Swedish scientists set out to research both the short and long-term effects of anabolic steroids and their less appealing androgenic side effects. Unsurprisingly, the scientists found that their doped groups had a significant increase in muscle size due to increased muscle hypertrophy and stimulation. As well, they found increased muscular endurance and strength due to increased size in muscle capillaries and increased muscle hyperplasia. The research also found significant difference in muscle morphology between the two groups. The doped athletes presented a 15% larger mean muscle fiber and large variation in muscle fiber area compared to the clean athletes. Why do athletes continue to use performance-enhancing drugs? Because they work, and this study and many other prove their anabolic effectiveness. The reasons claim that such punitive restrictions on doping to preserve fair play and avoid potential health risks, yet athletes and the average gym rat today continue to use anabolic and androgenic steroids for one reason or another, despite the overwhelming negative health risks associated with use. When the Mitchell Report of 2007 regarding performance-enhancing drug use in Major League Baseball was released, it named 89 MLB players who were alleged to use steroids and other performance enhancements. As well, the release of the report expressed the ineffectiveness of the MLB's Joint Drug Prevention and Treatment Program. In the aftermath, the MLB's drug testing policy became stricter, included more substances and stimulants to the banned substance list, gave more unannounced testing, and more severe punishments for those found guilty. The Anabolic Steroid Control Act of 1990 had given pharmaceutical companies a reason not to produce anabolic agents, which in turn has given the United States government a reason to defund research into development of better and safer anabolics. Despite the ban, the demand for these drugs have opened a black market flooded with impure substances that are more harmful than even the highest of pure substances. In fact, the black market steroids have an estimated $400 million annual revenue in imported and in most cases counterfeited or impure and dangerous steroids. The ban of anabolics has also led to supplement companies knowingly and strategically formulating and selling adulterated supplements bonded with DHEA, androstenedione, 1 or 2 set conversion prohormones, which have no backing to their beneficial or, more importantly, to their negative side effects, or outright spiking of these natural supplements with impure imported hormones. In conclusion, anabolic steroids and other performance-enhancing drugs always have and always will have their place in professional sports. The attempt of the government to control and schedule these anabolic compounds have been ineffective and have only led to their citizens taking more dangerous, more adulterated substances. Remember that while some men have Hall of Fame-worthy careers for being punished because they were caught using performance-enhancing drugs, that many others have been elected to the Hall of Fame because they were not caught. So how much fair play is there in professional sports?